Good morning. It's kind of late, I guess. It's not so early. We are here at the customer waiting, being loaded. Yeah. No, you can wait right there if you want. Like back up. There's a phone number on that yellow thing there. Call that number and check in. Right. You're welcome. Good morning. We're trying the Murphy's Law thing, but I figured I'd talk about a couple of things. We are, let's see, in Harrisonville, Missouri, trying to make this delivery. First come, first serve, you know how that is. And we're literally waiting in line with like 15,198 trucks. And we got to check in here off the road. This is something you couldn't do at Landstar Schneider, technically, right? We'll get to the shout outs here in a second. Since I talked about washing my truck, it is now raining, so glad I didn't wash it. But let's see, Daniel Adami, Overtax, Minnesota. Jose, good morning. GNC Family Trucking, Scott, Ty Z, Eddie Drotar, Jerome Jones, Right Lane, Amlight Live. Hey, when are you going to get back to work there, Right Lane? Cruising with Mike and Jen, Chasing America, Rich S, what's up? Good morning, James Bess, Slacker. I'm doing the live feeds instead of you. Good morning, Kevin. Nick Cheers. Apparently saying the word Kevin triggers my Garmin. Berkshire Trucker, Ralph Lodo, Eddie Drotar, trying to get a hold of Jeff to no avail again. Well, Pale Rider, it is Friday, isn't it? You can just number text them and then mention it on here. Truck and Scott, what's up? Mother Russia's paying too well not to work. That's one of my favorite Iron Maiden songs is Mother Russia. I love that song. What's significant? Is it difficult? What's the title mean? On this day in 2014, I finally got my 2290 done for my first truck purchase. Back then, back in those days, just 6 years ago, you could walk into the IRS office and get the paperwork done. You didn't do it online. You could do it personally in the office. I lived literally a block from the IRS office. It was the last piece of puzzle I needed to get to Landstar orientation. So that was also on a Friday, and Sunday morning I left out for Indianapolis and went to orientation. That was the beginning of my being an owner operator. And where the title comes from is when I bought that truck, it was drastically different from, like, you know, I tell you guys that want to buy a truck, it's the most difficult thing, one of the most difficult things to go through. It's not like buying a new car. It's not like going to the car dealership, I want that one, and then processing the paperwork. It's not like that at all. And Trey over at Aero Trucks in Springfield, hold on a second. We're gonna move up here, down the street. this. Curving? Sure am. Oh, wait, I missed it. Barely did it. Alright. Okay. We're back. Alright. So, anyways, Trey over at Aero Trucks there in Springfield, he helped me fill out the paperwork that Landstar needed. He went above and beyond just selling me a truck. He realized I was scared. He realized, not scared, I guess that's not the proper word. I was nervous. And he actually got on the phone with Landstar and gave him the because Landstar needed all the specs of the truck and everything for some reason. And he did all of that for me. And all the way up to the registration process, he was very instrumental. So it made the buying process a lot better, a lot easier. So the second time when I bought a truck, it was a little bit easier. The only difficulty I had was Schneider's insurance company. There was a miscommunication there. And of course, being a big corporation, it's hard to get a hold of a person, right? So, but that was the only issue. And then making sure that I had the right fifth wheel, because Schneider has all these, rules on what kind of fifth wheel it can have. And so people ask me, is it difficult being an owner-operator? And looking back, well, I guess the proper question is it difficult to become an owner-operator? Well, that depends. If you go with a company that literally hands you the keys to a new truck and you're under a lease payment, they can make it seem easy. But I remember my orientation at Landstar, and my head was spinning. I didn't know up from down. I literally, after every orientation, was just trying to absorb it all. Because it's not just, when you go to an orientation for a company, you go over the safety BS, well, not BS, the safety stuff, and then you go over the what do you call it? The process, how do you deal with the Qualcomm, what their policies are on pets and, logbooks and stuff like that. Whereas owner operator, you got to go over those policies. And then what Landstar does, they kind of do a little like impromptu, business class. They go over your cost per mile. They help you calculate your cost per mile. Because Landstar recognizes the fact that most people go into this not knowing that number, and myself included. And so they kind of help you get that in your head. And so looking back at it now, it's second nature. All the things that I learned at Landstar's orientation is second nature to me. And so I've had several friends tell me, you only know what you only know. And that's how we learn. Ratman Ronan has told me a lot about his history of how he built his empire, and he just did it. He just did it. He just like, you know what, I'm just doing this, and we'll learn as we go. And sometimes that's the best way to learn. I mean, that's how I learned to be a welder. They gave me the basics and said, here's what you do. And I listened to everybody that was a better welder, or the best welders in the shop. And I listened to them, and I listened to their tips on how to adjust the machine and all that. Well, the same thing goes for being an owner-operator. And I remember leaving the IRS office, like almost tears of joy, because it was such a, like, my brain was using things that it hadn't used before, and it was processing information that it's never had to process before. Because what you have to realize is when you become an owner operator, it is more than just driving the truck. It is more than just getting something from point A to point B. And I think that sometimes we forget that. I think sometimes complacency makes us forget that. So, and in my situation, whenever I deal with the negative aspect like a bad shipper, or something that's beyond the normal BS that I deal with on a daily basis, sometimes I forget where I came from, because as a company driver I made a lot of struggles. I had a lot of struggles that were thrown at me about just shippers and receivers and routing and where to go, and the whole part of my process of being an owner operator is to not put myself in those positions, if I can help it. And but sometimes I forget that sometimes those situations happen. So if I'm at a customer for 4 hours, it's tempting to just say, you know what, screw you and your load, I'm not doing it. But then that would be a bad reflection on like trucking, so I don't do that. But at some point, there's a reason why I made a truck payment. So so when someone asks me, is it difficult to become an owner operator, I tell them yes and no. It depends on your mindset. It depends on your resources. It depends on how much research you've done, how much knowledge you've retained, that kind of thing. Let's see. The Hool is in the house. So it's true that Red Chicken ate the Chupacabra thing? No. They came to a peace treaty. IFTA is due at the end of July, right? I'm not sure, right, Lane? Mike Miller got a dispatcher job. Awesome. 2290 was not difficult for me. Getting my plate was more of a challenge. Rich, and that is, man, I got all over the place. That was a bit, okay. Let's talk about that. So when I decided to get my own plate, again, now I'm back to square one. When I became an owner operator, now I'm dealing with phrases and paperwork and stuff that I've never dealt with before. And I did a live feed talking about the process, but it's all kind of conjumbled. It's kind of all like discombobulated, and because that's how it felt when I did it. Then the first year of renewal was a little bit better, but the next renewal, easy breezy. And I wouldn't have learned that had I not done it. That's the thing. People talk about, Steve, why don't you get your own authority? And I'm just like, well, I'm intimidated. I'm intimidated by the paperwork. I'm intimidated by all the processes. And I have a ton of people telling me that it's easy, but yet their mindset's different than mine. And I know my weaknesses. So, it's something that I'm trying to work on. And that's the point, is it difficult? Well, if it is difficult, if being an owner operator or business owner is difficult, then you have to look at what's the difficulty. Is difficulty in knowledge? Is it difficulty in work ethic? Is it difficulty in dealing with the day-to-day, like normal trucking stuff? If you hate trucking, possibly being an owner operator is probably not a good idea. If you're picky about what your company does, you definitely either want to like not be a driver or become a sole authority owner, carrier. That way you call the shots. The only people that you're answering to is the insurance companies and the government. There's a lot of little things that can make it seem overwhelming, right? And so when I got my plate, Rich, Jeff had to kind of walk me through it. And the Missouri website was really easy to maneuver. They were very friendly. I've heard the horror stories of some states. There are some states that require you to use a third party, and that third party may not have their act together. I know that my trials and tribulations wasn't as difficult as, like, say, a friend of mine that lives in Pennsylvania, or a friend of mine that lives in Illinois, or a friend of mine that lived in Georgia. Missouri is pretty friendly when it comes to that regards. So you don't know what you don't know, right? Waving from your airbed, Mike Miller. Going to my first renewal in July, all online now. Yep. Eddie, what'd you say about my mama? What? I got kicked out, been off of it 4 years, but found old tablet that had it. What are you talking about? So, oh, okay. Back had a battle to handle on Clash of Clans, LOL. Oh, okay. The 2290 seemed intimidating at the time, the first time I did it, because it's a tax form. And some about how tax forms are worded, you know, kind of intimidate me. Where someone who's had tax training, like, you know, somebody like Jeff, you know, it's no big deal to read a tax, you know, piece of paper written by the IRS, you know. So it was good to have someone there personally that I can talk to. Now I just do it online. It's easy, you know, everything's already right there. And things become easier as they come along. And, you know, and like James Best, you know, he just kind of like crammed everything at once, you know, when it came to becoming an owner operator. And then, you know, 1 month he bought a truck from Lease Truck, and then 3 months went from Schneider's contract deal to full-blown spot market. And then within 2 years he went to his own authority, which he kind of wanted to do after 1 year. You know, he progressively, you know, and so the James Best we see today is not the same James Best that we saw, you know, 3 years ago. So it you know, so when someone asks me, is it difficult? Yes. Is it more difficult for some than others? Yes. Can it be easy? Yes, but you don't want it too easy, because if it's too easy, you become complacent. And that's so today's the 6-year anniversary of when I completed the process of purchasing my first truck and becoming an owner operator. It was a black, you know, those of you new to my channel, it was a black 387 Peterbilt, 2009. Had a Cummins engine in it. It did the regen, but it didn't have the DEF at that point. And took that truck to Landstar and was at Landstar for 1.5 years. In September of the 2nd year, that's when I met Jeffrey Like and went to Schneider. And things have progressively gotten better since. And if I had to go back to Landstar today, there's a lot of things that I've learned along the way that I could do and probably pull off a lot better. Not saying that I failed at Landstar, but Landstar didn't fulfill the needs that I needed at that time, which was consistency and freight base at that point. So let's see, light brights in the house, 2290 in place. That's just the beginning of what it takes. I did my research, got the truck, trailer, plates, etc., but spent thousands more on unseen stuff. Right, you have to keep challenging yourself to become complacent. Too easy to become complacent, and that is true. That is true, and I think that was probably the point I was at Schneider. I was complacent, running the same stuff. And that freight was always there, and whenever like that freight wasn't there, like if my normal loads weren't there, I kind of freaked out a little bit and had to adjust. You know, one of the things, if you're a Schneider guy and you're not watching Steve Berger, he doesn't post a lot of videos, but he has a lot of good videos from the past. You know, there's a guy that literally went from not knowing anything to being one of the masters over at Schneider. bigrigceo, the same thing. You know, you can learn a lot from those two guys over at Schneider. And then, of course, if you go through Jeff's old catalog, before the live feed started, when Jeff did a lot of recorded Schneider videos, there's a lot of great knowledge there too. And so um, and that's the thing. I started surrounding myself with successful people. You know, when I was at Landstar, there was a few people that were successful that helped me. They helped me change my mindset, and one of them was the one that introduced me to Jeffrey Light. And because he went from Landstar to Schneider and told me the differences, he was kind of the guinea pig. You know, I didn't just take Jeff's word on it. You know, I talked to different individuals, and once I saw it fit my needs, you know, I went over there. But at Schneider, that consistency allowed me to buy a second truck, or get into you know, sell the first one and get into a second one. And was there BS to deal with? Yeah. And one of the most difficult aspects of going to Schneider was there was always a paperwork snag that was delayed because I didn't have my act together. If I had to go back to Schneider today, I already have everything in one folder, whereas back then I didn't know what that was. So like I could just easily go click, 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 click. There's everything you need. Boom. You know. That was the thing at Landstar. The guy at Arrow did that for me for Landstar, right? And the recruiting department in Landstar wasn't the brightest group of candles there. And that's not really an insult. They're a third-party service that kind of services multiple carriers. So they kind of had a little bit of a disconnect, which made it more challenging for a guy like me who has never done this before. To go to be an owner operator for the first time in a self-dispatch, you know, kind of leave it to your own, you know, your own on business. That's a huge step, and you know, and it suited my needs at the time. Lane OTJB, join it. The name is OTJB hates MX13. Even if your plate's full, ask for seconds, says James Smith. Never pay anyone to get the authority process done. You will learn, and when permits are due again, you already know the process and save a good amount of money. Eddie, that is some advice that some people have given me, because it's easy to, I guess, go through OIDA or NASTIC and have them do everything. You're going to pay a price for that. But the argument was made to me that if you decide to do this, Steve, that you need to do it yourself. I'll help you every step of the way. And therefore, when it comes time, you know, just like the plate, if I had paid someone to do the plate, then I wouldn't have learned to do the renewal, you know, and that would have been a weakness. So learn as much as you can by just doing it, right? So Anthony Bressler, what's up? Thomas Wilson's in the house, giving his opinion on Jeffrey Like. I missed videos from in the truck and Scott. Yeah, I mean, things have changed for him. I mean, he's built this empire where he doesn't have to be in the truck, and I think that anybody who's started their authority and want to bring on drivers, I think that's their goal, is to eventually get out of the truck and run the carrier. And Jeff has reached that point. But you never know. I mean, he just acquired a new trailer, so you know there might be plans for him to get back in the truck. So when he backed over the boss's truck more than 3 times, you get transferred to recruitment. Right lane won't let you on now, so you guys talk about games. So you know, be careful of the people that make it seem too easy, and be careful of the people that make it seem too hard. You know, there's going to be some difficulties, and if your goal at the end of the day is to just drive the truck and not give it any sacrifice, that's going to be a problem. That's going to eventually catch up to you, because even like Jeff's position, he doesn't drive the truck, right? So he still has to deal with a handful of us. And so if there's a problem with a you know, like a comm check at 4 a.m, or if if someone loses, or someone has a breakdown, or someone has an accident, Jeff has to deal with that 24/7. He has to live, eat, and breathe the carrier. And so even when he's on vacation, he still has to work. He still has to do payroll. He still has to make sure that logs are good and all that. And so there's a bit of sacrifice there. You're always thinking about it. It's always in the back of your mind. It's not trucking is not a turnkey operation. There's carrier packets that he has to fill out, and insurance to deal with, and negotiations, and dealing with all the emails and stuff. So there's a bit of sacrifice. Anytime that you sign the dotted line to a truck and or business in general, it's going to be difficult, and there's going to be a sacrifice. I talked to a friend of mine that started a tattoo parlor, and he said that he has almost no free time now, whereas when he was contracted to work under someone else's shop, he had more free time, right? But the difference is if there were no appointments and he didn't think there was going to be any walk-ins, he didn't have to go to work, or when he did go to work, it wasn't stressful or strenuous, so business owners never rest. Can't walk away for a break ever. Right. Great knowledge as always. Thank you, Al. This Trucker's Life. What's up? Thumbs up. So the reason why I'm doing this video and entitled it the way it is, because I'm on my 6-year anniversary. June 19th was when the paperwork and everything was complete with my truck. I had the temp tag, put not for hire on the side of the truck, and grabbed the paper log and headed over to Indianapolis to Landstar orientation. And I really, really regret taking down my Landstar videos, because I didn't just take them down, I deleted them, right? And they were all done on the phone, so I don't have those files built up anywhere. And only one video survives from the Landstar era, and that's my CB radio video, which is my top viewed video, by the way. Because it probably would have been kind of horrible to watch as far as like my mindset back then, because there's so much I had to learn. There's so much I'm still learning. There's so many assumptions that I probably made back then. And I think that's the thing, all of us YouTubers, go back and watch your old videos. Go watch your mindset of what it was 1, 2, or 3 years ago. And you'll see when was the paradigm shift, and I know that there's probably some cringeworthy stuff on those Landstar videos. Definitely. I mean, there's some cringeworthy stuff on the Schneider videos. I'll be honest. Hell, there's probably a cringeworthy video like last week. Rick LP, what's up? BB Truckin'. Bet those videos are in the cloud somewhere, Snow Lord. Eddie, I had a troll that attacked a friend of mine that was killed in a car accident, and I almost deleted the whole channel. I just started deleting. And a friend of mine talked me out of doing that. And I want to say it might have been Pale Rider that talked me out of doing that. And I left the Landstar one up, the CB radio one up, but they're all done on the phone and uploaded. So it's like they don't even exist anywhere. So I still got my old, like, if you go like Snorlord's old channel, those videos are still up, but that was a separate channel. I started a separate channel when I went to Landstar, so those videos are still up. How about a drinking video like with James Best Snorlord? He has down 4 shots of knob already this morning. I texted James Best to tell him he needs to go live. I was bored. So, of course, I didn't even get a response. So, here he is live. I'm entertaining him. Should be the other way around. And what are we going to do, James? Come on. I've watched hours of Jeff's old videos, old YouTube videos. Right, and the thing with Jeff's old videos is the what's aren't as important as the hows. Look at the way he looked at the low board and approached the low board. Look at the way he approached business. You know, and the principles are still exactly the same if you're over at Schneider. If I had to go back to Schneider tomorrow, I know exactly what to expect. Would the loads be a little bit different? Would strategies be a little bit different? Yeah, but for the most part, it's a sure thing. And what a lot of people found out in 2018 when they went from Schneider to the spot market was that it was vastly different. I was a little bit more prepared than the other Schneider guys because of the Landstar system, which is a broker, you call the broker based system, and negotiate and figure things out from there. So I was already familiar with that platform, whereas the Schneider guys, you know, they've never dealt with that before. So Bob G. Haysnow, if you have a minute for life, you call me. I had a situation today that was pretty crazy. Okay, I will, Bob. Definitely will. Out of topic. Can I buy ammo on the road and keep it in the truck? Yes, you can, Rick. I think the only state you got to worry about is New Jersey, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, you can buy ammo wherever you want. Now, if you're buying a full pallet, that might be an issue, but you know, I haven't bought ammo out of state, but I have bought it inside the truck. There's a store in Neosho that I hit that had enough room to turn the truck around. That I bought when Springfield was completely out of 9mm a couple of months ago because of COVID world. So, you know, as long as you're old enough to buy ammo, you're good to go. So it's so that's the whole purpose of this video is if it's difficult, good, that helps you learn. You know, I know like Rich, we're gonna pick on him for a minute. He's new to the dry van game and the whole the whole spot market thing, right? And so we were talking about how a situation like this makes you feel like a rookie again. I was back to making rookie mistakes when I went to Landstar. I mean, I was like going to weird places and job sites and all this oddball stuff that I didn't really have to do a whole lot at Transland as company driver, because you know Transland we pretty much did the same customers all the time. You know, one quarter I would go out to Salt Lake a lot, and then the next quarter I'd go out to Pennsylvania a lot. Then the next quarter I'd be back and forth between Dallas and Springfield. And it's interesting because if you look at the way I run, it kind of follows the same patterns. You know, I'll ride a wave for a minute and then I'll move on to something else, and then I'll go back to that wave. And right now I've been going up and down 70 like I used to before COVID world hit. My my Oklahoma toll bill was through the roof, you know, for February and March. So just ordered 800 rounds of 223 and 500 9mm and 250 45 bullets to make. I want to buy a gun. Went to a gun show on the second day. The show was a disappointment. Guns were pretty much all sold on day one, so I should have showed up on day one, right? Yeah, and that's the thing. 9mm and other ammo is starting to disappear because of what we're seeing in the news, and because of you know, if I guarantee you that if you live near Minneapolis or Atlanta, there's no ammo to be found because people are gearing up for something bigger, you know. So, Eddie, what state do you live in? And what's the background check like? Like Missouri, I go anywhere I want Missouri, and probably not have to wait too long to get a firearm. That Ninja live. Where is ammo made? In a factory. It just depends on There's a plant in Muskogee, not Muskogee. There's a plant in Arkansas near Little Rock. There's a plant in no, is it McAllister, Oklahoma? There's a plant in Independence. I don't know. Different factories make different types of ammo. It took me 30 minutes in Missouri for background. Wife took about 5 minutes. How long ago was that, Kevin? Yeah, Schneider has not changed the last 3 years for me. A few different customers, but overall the same. Right. Speaking of evolution, YouTube channel, soon the chicken show featuring solar chupacabra. I'm glad you guys like the chupacabra video. I'm waiting for the troll that says that your red chicken videos are stupid. Well, I do it to entertain the family. They love it. The kids love it. There are kids that watch this channel, which is why I try to keep things clean and cursing to a minimum. And the red chicken's a popular hit, so it's just something stupid, just something to distract, something to not think of the BS that we're dealing with in the real world here. So last August, okay, I'd be curious to know what that would take now. I think for me it's still pretty good because I've lived at the same address for 25 years and I've already been approved background checks on two different occasions for the school system and for the hazmat. I've waited a week already for your background. Yeah, that's Illinois. Are the plants open? I believe they might be. Oh, yeah, damn fly. It's legal to shoot red chicken haters and trolls in both Missouri and Texas. You spelled Missouri wrong there, the whole. So, anyways, if you guys are thinking about if someone's watching this going, I want to become an owner operator. Just know that it's difficult. Just know that you're going to go through some trials and tribulations. Just know that you're going to have to make some sacrifices. If you're the kind of person that just wants to forget about the truck as soon as you turn the key and lock it up, this isn't for you. In my opinion, not a blanket statement, my opinion is you got to kind of live and eat and breathe and have a small passion for this. Either a passion for the numbers or a passion for money or a passion for trucking in general to make this work. That's my opinion. That's not a blanket statement. And, and it's truth. I've seen it over and over and over. And you'll learn a lot. And the more that you know about the industry, the easier it is to overcome the obstacles. And there will be obstacles. That's the thing. It's not going to be easy. A lot of these lease companies, like Prime and Schneider and the other big conglomerates, make it easy to sign the dotted line and to put you in a brand new truck. But if you want to go to a bank and buy a truck, still learning the system, there's some major challenges to that. And that's the thing. That's how people get attracted to those leases, that it allows them to easy access to be owning, or not owning, but making payments on a brand new truck. And when in the higher cost, the less room for error there is. If you absolutely need $4,000 a week, regardless of what happens, weather, truck breakdowns, bad loads, bad delivery number can literally cost you thousands of dollars. If you pick up a load on Monday and you try to deliver on Tuesday and you had the wrong delivery number and you got to wait like a full week before you can deliver and you need $4,000 a week, guess what? You ain't going to get that in layover. You ain't going to get that in detention. So you have to be prepared for times like that. What about funerals? What about health issues? What if a family member has to go to the hospital? You can't control that. You got to go home. And will your expenses survive that? And that's the thing. I know a lot of people have lost their trucks because of circumstances that happened, not because of how they ran the business, but because they weren't prepared for those dark days. or circumstances happen that were beyond their control. So right now, my credit union, $750 is a bare minimum on a loan. Is that on commercial loans or private loans? Man, it is freaking hot here. That it was raining earlier, so we'll try that. Restaurant business is more risky, right? Any business is risky. In case in point, so there's a local nightclub in Springfield that I actually had a conversation with the owner about possibly maybe becoming a partner or purchasing that place. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to be over my head. It's too big. It's too big of a project, right? Over my head, right? Well, he had to sell that place just last week because of COVID world basically shutting it down. He had to sell it before he had to file bankruptcy because, 3 months of no revenue. And with an establishment that big, I mean, I know people during COVID world that lost 5-digit numbers per month as business owners, and that's hard. That's hard to prepare for, to be honest with you. So all business is risky. Yep. Health is huge. I'm struggling with diabetes and high blood pressure. Eddie, we can help you with that. Eddie. We can definitely help you. And I guess I've kind of slacked off on the health stuff a little bit, and I apologize for that. We're still going strong. I've had a few cheats here and there, but for the most part, I'm still avoiding sugar like the plague. Here's a proof. Here's proof. I picked a load of this stuff last week. They gave this to me for free. It is unopened. Okay? Unopened. Not been tempted once. This is going to a homeless guy if I can come across one. So I've been keeping it, right? I'm buying a new Ford Explorer. I called yesterday and line up so I can pick it up when I get home. Awesome. No risk, no reward. In most cases, more risk, more reward. That is true, Rich. That is absolutely true. I'm told to fill out with Captain Morgan. Absolutely. Absolutely. Back in my rum and mix whatever I can with rum days. So, selling eBay is risky. Trucking is guaranteed, says the brochure. I did the eBay thing for a minute. And the problem with eBay, between eBay and PayPal, you're ate up with fees. It sucks. It sucked pretty much most of the profit that I made. And again, I didn't educate myself, so I didn't pair I didn't price accordingly. I didn't price right. So, I've taken in less than 40 grams of carbs per day for the last 3 weeks. Going strong. Peanuts will be my downfall. I feel you. If you can go to something other than peanuts, Eddie, macadamia nuts, pecans, walnuts, those are your better nuts. They're low glycemic versus peanuts. Peanuts are essentially a legume or bean, and beans have high glycemic qualities, attributes, if you will. So, we'll keep this one kind of short. So if you guys, kind of short, 45 minutes. If you guys got any questions, put them out here. If you got any comments, concerns, anything, we can go off topic now if you want. Go for it. And if not, we'll end the feed and we'll all tell James Best to go live. So, or Jeff. Jeff hasn't gone live in a while either. So apparently I'm taking up the slack for everybody. So Beard oil of your preference. Right now I'm using this stuff. It's pretty good. I like it. Summer went live. Heaven protect us. We're having charcoal for supper. Again, that's a strange statement there, Mr. Hull. I don't know if that's a Swedish saying or something about charcoal. I have no idea what we're talking about. Why and how did you get your start in trucking, Snow Lord? That's an excellent question, Mr. Chapstick 2010. The why was because we needed money, but I come from a background. My dad was an owner-operator back in the 80s. He was a truck driver. And then in the 90s, he was a company driver for a local company, basically a private fleet. And I always wanted to be like my dad. I used to ride with my dad every summer, so I know the old school ways. I've been cab overs, the whole 9 yards. And there was a passion there for it. Unfortunately, my dad did not think that I should do that. He thought I should do better. So I did like he did and struggled with jobs, struggling with staying with jobs. I really couldn't do anything that made me happy. I started a family, became a welder, became a pretty damn good welder. I will brag about that. And then I got burned out on that, went to drive a school bus, but that didn't pay worth a squat. And I thought it would cure the whole not being a trucker bug, but it just made it worse. And my wife needed me to kind of step up to the plate on the money thing. So I talked to a friend of mine that was over at RBX and made the jump. I went to Transland. I went to CDL school through a local college. Went to Transland. They hired me out of school, and they were perfect because you were out only 2 weeks at a time, so I was able to balance home time. I didn't want to be one of those guys that was out months at a time, because that's how my dad had to run in the beginning of his career. And and just did a lot of research, and then a lot of things that I knew from when I rode with my dad. Even though as a kid I absorbed a lot of the habits and characteristics of how to handle yourself, how to handle the traffic, how to handle cities, how to handle customers, and how to handle brokers even. Did that for 6 years and became an owner operator. So yeah, burnt supper now, the Hool. Shame. My dad hung up the keys. He was laid off from his carrier about 1 year before he passed away. He was laid off, so he became a forklift operator for Lowe's. He enjoyed that. He really did. He was. My dad had a love-hate relationship with the road. I think a lot of us can identify with that. Can relate to that, I guess. There is a love-hate. If my dad was home for more than 2 weeks, he got antsy. He got irritable. But if he was out for too long, he got irritable. So the company driving that he did towards the end was perfect for him, because he literally went from Missouri to Florida and back. That's it. A drop and hook on both ends. He didn't deal with shippers. He didn't deal with customers. He didn't deal, and it was pretty easy work for the amount of money he made. And I guarantee you that if I had found a deal like that in my career, I wouldn't have become an owner operator. I don't think so. Sucks you can't enjoy time off before kicking it. It was cancer that took him out. It was lung cancer. So that's why he passed away. He was only 59. So but the runs that he was doing was literally Monday through Thursday or Sunday through Thursday. Remember paper logs. And he went fishing every weekend, and you know, he had a pretty gravy job, but like every gravy job in the trucking industry, it goes away. They outsourced drivers that would do it for half the price. He thought about driving for Tracker Marine, Bass Pro, hauling their boats as kind of a partial retirement, but they didn't want to pay enough, and Bass Pro wouldn't hire him back because he had worked for them before. But that was a good question, Mr. Chapstick. I've mentioned my dad a few times, but I've never really talked about how I've gotten into the business, and that's what it is. It was out of necessity, but it was something I've always kind of wanted to do, because if I hadn't become a truck driver, there always would have been that what if, right? And so if I have to hang up the keys tomorrow, I would be satisfied with what I've accomplished. You know, and would I miss it? There would definitely be elements that I would miss. It would depend. If I retired and didn't have to work, I wouldn't miss it at all. But if I had a crappy job that I hated, I would definitely miss the driving aspect. And good day cab jobs are hard to find. They either don't pay enough, or they're inconsistent, or they don't last. So, and I don't think I would do well in a day cab company driver situation. I really don't. I'm a little bit too independent minded, I guess. So, any other questions, comments, concerns, things that you guys want to discuss? I'm out of coffee. Now, I could be making some right now, but I know that the minute I set up that coffee maker, they're going to say, hey, time to move the truck. And I guess I got my inverter now. I guess I could hook it up to that and just run the truck for a minute. That'd be a good test of my inverter, because I've only used it a couple of times for my laptop. I'm very skittish when it comes to inverters, because that's, you know, an inverter almost killed me. So, but anyways, the comments have slowed down. I do have a truck coffee maker, the Hool. I was just talking about that. Silly. I have a 2,000 watt inverter. Is it 2,000? Yeah, this is what I got right here. And that was in part thanks to Spartan Direct. They had a little contest that if you found one of their trucks on the road and bugged them, you'd be signed up to get them. So I got one, and so I appreciate Spartan Direct, Spectre, and Kevin, and Road Pro. So my 1500 runs my coffee pot. Yeah, Rich, I've had a 1500 in a company truck, and I had to idle the truck to do it. It wouldn't do it with the Thermal King, you know, because Thermal King is junk, you know. But you know, that's just my opinion. What you doing? What is that link there, the Hool? You just plug it in onto the 24 volt system. Eating my 2 fried eggs breakfast. There you go. Let's see here. Why would you give a crap about moving the truck? Because the whole this parking lot is really rough. So if there's a coffee maker in the back brewing hot liquid, and I'm doing this in the truck, it's gonna probably be a little bit messy. Come on, man. You guys should see this parking lot. Here, okay, you guys want to see what I'm looking at? Here you go. Doink. There you go. There it is. There'll be a vlog about this too. I've been GoProing this. I have a 3K inverter, but had to put a 30 amp inline fuse in it to run the microwave and coffee pot. Yep, no messes in the truck. Right. Now I can turn on the APU and do the same thing, but then once I turn off the APU, it won't brew anymore. So I know that the minute that I set up that coffee maker, they're going to call me and say, hey, time to move the truck. Because I'm watching the truck that's going to unload before me. And I know that once he's done, I'm next. This guy's a flatbedder. He's not going to take time away from me. Road Pro crap will burn your electric system up on a catch fire. Thomas Wilson, I've seen how you hook up inverters, number one. And number two, the inverter that caused my fire was not a Road Pro. Now, if I'm just a little bit patient, I can get some Dunkin' Donuts coffee at Sap Brothers after this. That's my reward. And I'm out of bottled water too, so that's an issue as well. But, COVID-19 trackers are on your phones now under settings. So smooth trucking. I will explore that. Look, if you got Google on your phone, you got a tracking device. If you got Facebook on your phone, you got a tracking device. Now, unless you guys are watching this video at home on your computer, you have a tracking device on your phone because it's Google. Google owns what Apple doesn't. And the government owns the rest. Gotta have water on the truck. I've got 2 unopened gallons of water, and I'm trying not to open them because they'll just get stagnant if I open one right now. I guess I could open one. I'm gonna have to use it at home. I buy distilled water for this CPAP machine, so I've always got water on the truck. I just don't want to open a big, huge gallon of water right now. Good deal, Thomas. I'm glad you got the inverter installed professionally because I was worried about you. But if we're done with the questions and comments and concerns, we'll keep this at an hour. I appreciate everybody watching. If you feel like you want to become an owner-operator, you want some advice on buying a truck, or if there's anything I can give you a perception on, I may not be able to help you with specifics, but I can at least help you with your mindset and your attitude. So, you can email me at Doomytunestransport@gmail.com. I believe the link might be in the description. If not, just leave me a comment on the posted video, and I'll try to get back to you. I try to help as many people as I can. Looks like they're getting ready to unload me. So guys, take it easy. I appreciate you. Be safe. And for all you fathers out there, happy Father's Day. See you.